Greetings. Welcome back. Happy Friday. My name is Celeste Mayat, and I am here with a video for all the femmes, all the people who have wombs, and people who identify as women. So what is a womb reading? A womb wellness reading is a tarot-led reading in which we speak, which I become a vessel to speak directly with the divine, with the sacred feminine, to help to heal all the wombs of the world and help to heal and guide people who identify as femme or women. And we're here every Friday, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss a video. So I'm going to start off the reading pulling a Kuan Yin card. Kuan Yin is a spirit guide of mine. She is up there with Yemaya in the Ifa religion. She is like Mother Mary in Catholicism. She is the mother healer and holder of sacred femininity. And I work with her very closely in my personal life as a person with a womb and a mother. And so we're going to first start off every reading with kind of grounding in her energies and seeing what she has for us. Okay. I love that. Reliance. Rely upon me for all things. Allow my heart with its generosity, grace, and resourcefulness to nourish yours. There is no need to be anxious. I hold your heart in my own. Wonderful. So Kuan Yin is letting us know that there's a lot of us out there are sitting in the energies of anxiety, which makes a lot of sense. Like the world is in this place of of uncertainty right now. And yes, she says, rely upon me for all things. Allow my heart with its generosity, grace, and resourcefulness. And the resourcefulness is really sticking out for me right now. I think that when we think of resourcefulness, we think of abundance, right? We think of using what we have to not only to get by, but also to thrive. I think a lot of times we think of resourcefulness as in a scarcity or lack of, like, oh, this little bit that I have, but Kuan Yin and Spirit wants us to reframe what resourcefulness means for us, and seeing resourcefulness is actually a place of abundance, and seeing that we always have what it is that we need, and how we can learn to almost like use the ideas of alchemy to like amplify what it is that we have in our life and take it to the next level. And Kuan Yin, the divine feminine reminds us of that, right? I mean, think of us as womb holders giving birth, right? Like it literally starts off with like one cell that splits into two, that splits into three, that splits into four, and it becomes a whole being, right? It becomes a whole child, a whole like actualized person out here. And resourcefulness and reminds me of that abundance, of multiplying, of creating more. And when we are able to see that within our lives, that's kind of where the anxiety it's kind of like the remedy to anxiety, when we can know that we can multiply, when we can rebirth, when we can create abundance from what we have. So I'm going to go ahead and pull 5 cards. As I do that, I do just want to remind you guys that I do offer clarity calls, free clarity calls, for those who are in need of finding those who are in need and strategizing their healing, those who are in need of wanting to center womb wellness as a place of healing in their life and finding their bliss, and they want to use their inner cycles and the inner rhythms of their womb to create that for themselves. So you can check the link in the bio. There is a link to book a free clarity call with me. And so yeah, let's go ahead and pull those cards. Set these right here. All right, let's see, what does Spirit have in store for us? Okay, so the first card that we pulled right here is the Eight of Discs. And it was in reverse in mine. And okay, this is Eight of Discs. So if you look at the card, if you can see the card, there are femmes who are sitting around and they are creating. They are working together to create these discs. They're working together to create this cloth. One's making a pot. It looks like the other one is doing something, or sewing, or doing something else. So essentially they're all in this creative flow, right? And that's the beautiful thing about being a femme and having a womb, is that we have this inner being and this inner innate knowledge of how to get into flow. And so one way that we flow, Native Disc is in reverse, and so it's telling us that we can find flow, we can find that creative within community, within each other. So I'm hearing that a lot of our anxiety is anxious around the people that we have around us. So Spirit wants you to kind of ground into your womb and find the truth of yourself and your own flow, and you will begin to attract people into your life that also are in their flow. And when we all flow in together, like I see almost like a waterfall of the sorts, you know, that's all kind of like we're kind of all moving together in unison to create a better world, almost like to create a bigger vision. And I think a lot of the anxiety or blockages that are coming up for a lot of us is that we're feeling like if the next person is in their flow, but their flow doesn't look exactly like step by step like our flow, then we're not going to, it's a blockage, or we're not going to manifest what it is that we want. Remove the anxiety and trust that everyone's flow is for the highest good, and that you all can come together, that you and your community of people, whether it's your family, your friends, I'm seeing that a lot of us are finding recreating community and friendships again. And those who are watching this video, there's someone out here who's like finding community and friendships again. I'm kind of like retrusting the idea of friendship. And so don't feel like if they're not exactly doing what you're doing in verbatim, that it's going to deter you from yours. You guys' flow is going to be unique, but I promise it's going in the same direction. You guys all have the same like kind of goal, which is to find your purpose and which is to find your bliss. So yeah, there's a lot of you guys that are feeling anxious around like kind of that communal flow. But Eight of Discs is telling you to kind of remove that, because you see they're all doing their own thing, but they're all working together. That energy of creativity and flow is like bouncing off of each other to find their rhythm. Then we have, oh, beautiful Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords, again, swords is all about, like, especially when it's in reverse, or in my case, when it's not upright, it's usually, again, it's talking about anxiety. And you see this person, she is, she has a sword and she's like kind of poking at a wall, right? And these crows are kind of looking at her like, sis, what are you doing? So Eight of Swords is asking you guys to step back. Flow, the thing about flow is that it doesn't force, right? Rivers don't force their way immediately in through the world, right? And through the earth. They're kind of like easing themselves. The water kind of eases into this pattern, right, into the earth, and it moves around the boulders and the sticks and stuff that might find their way in the river. A lot of you guys are trying to like force something, like, oh, I have to get through this, and for some reason it's just not working, because you're using this, like, you're moving from a place of anxiety, and this has to happen right now. Eight of Swords is, again, remembering to find your flow, and remembering that it's going to take time, and it's going to take patience. So step back from that wall, step back from that problem that you're seeing in your life, step back from it and find, okay, how can I work this in a way with patience, with trust that it's going to work out for me without me having to like exert so much like energy that might feel like it's going in the opposite direction of where you want to go. Eight of Swords wants you to like start to begin to embody trust in yourself. And when you feel like you're at a wall and you feel like you're really pushing it hard, you know, like really it's hard, you know, you're between a rock and a hard place. Check in with your nervous system and remind yourself what flow feels like. Relax into it. Breathe into it. It's not what your dreams and your manifestations aren't going to come with you like trying to force things. It's going to come with you flowing and moving with how things are going, you know, finding the nooks and crannies in which you can get around instead of like, oh, I need to push this rock out the way. No, be like water. Water moves around the rock and eventually it starts to erode that rock and that rock becomes smaller and turns into a pebble, you know. So then we have Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords is telling us to kind of get out of our own heads, right? Going back to what Kuan Yin says, she says, I hold your heart in my own. I nourish yours, right? Part of that nourishment is relaxing the mind and reminding yourself of that. Nourishing your thoughts so that they are productive with what you are trying to manifest. A lot of us, you will along the way have thoughts that may feel counterintuitive, like, oh, I'm not doing enough, oh, I'm not enough, you know. Seeing those thoughts as, well, who told me that I'm not enough, right? And Nine of Swords wants to remind us that these thoughts, even when you do get into your flow, even when you do get into your bliss, right? It's not that necessarily these thoughts just don't exist anymore. They might come up, but don't allow those thoughts to completely rule over your heart, rule over your mind, you know? Be mindful of those thoughts and bringing them in like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, being honest about those thoughts. And then instead of letting them rule you, seeing them as that side of yourself, you know. If you're in need of more support in how to do that, definitely hit up a clarity call with me. So then we have our Empress. Oh, I love the Empress. Check this out. She's hanging out. She's in the yard with her spirit guides. She's nurturing herself, right? And I think that, again, goes back to nourishing our hearts, you know. Kuan Yin wants us to be nourished, wants us to have grace and generosity, you know. We are fully surrounded by our soul's counsels. We are fully surrounded by the divine, by our helpers in this realm and many others. You deserve to rest. You deserve to take time for yourself. You deserve that, because rest is flow, right? Rest. I know before having my children and my son, I just have one, I don't know why I said plural, but I was definitely in a mindset of like, oh, gotta go, you know, I gotta hustle to get what it is that I want. And even though, yes, I still have to do that because now I have another mouth to feed, I'm definitely coming from a place of like, my manifestations and the life that I want to create for myself doesn't come from hustling, does it all the time, you know what I mean, to the point of burnout. My manifestations come to me when I'm in a relaxed state, when my nervous system is cool, when I've taken time to nourish myself and to really sit with my thoughts and sit with my wants and desires. And that's the same for you. Like, that's when you remind yourself of that, like, I deserve rest and I deserve to get this bread and I deserve to have this life that brings me bliss, you know. Those two things can coexist. You deserve nourishment and grace and generosity. And so let's check out the last card, Four of Cups. Four of Cups. Oh, and what I like about it is that it's a river. It's the ocean, you know what I mean? And this person is walking on the water, you know, in flow. Four of Cups is, don't be afraid to drown in your emotions, right? When we are in flow, we kind of flow on top of our water, you know. We can walk on top of the waters of our emotions, of our creativity. We won't drown in it. We won't get overwhelmed in it. Yes, be free in it, play in it, you know. Ooh, that feels like real juicy and playful with your flow, with your creativity. And you can only get to that point when you remind yourself to rest. It's hard to think about playing and having fun when you're bone tired, right? And so don't be afraid to feel like you're going to, or think that you're going to drown, because you're not. Play in those waters, play with those emotions, play with those creativities, and a lot will come from that abundance. So we're going to end the reading with, we're going to pull a card with affirmation on it to kind of carry us through our Friday into our weekend and up until next Friday when I'll be posting another video. And again, if you're interested, I have free webinars and yoga classes up on my Podia, and the link is in the bio. So let's go ahead and pull another card. Oops, I guess that's the card that wants to come out. The card says, my creative power. As I invest in my own creative potential, I experience my female creative genius. And I'm going to reword that. As I invest in my own creative potential, I experience my femme creative genius. So y'all, again, invest in yourself, rest, invest in taking care of your mind and your thoughts, invest in sitting with community and finding y'all's flow together. That's where your creative potential comes, and your creative genius will just ooze and flow out of you flawlessly. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Again, hit that subscribe button. I'll be here every Friday. You probably can hear my baby crying in the background, so let me go check up on him. And I love you guys. See you next Friday.